Hello everybody, welcome. If you're new to our group, every week we submit a word for contemplation, and this word is intended to be a guide for journaling, free writing, meditation, or just contemplation. And we open the word up for discussion, and we would love to hear your interpretation or your experience with these words. This week our word is misunderstanding, and I think now more than ever, misunderstanding is a really important word to contemplate and a really important word to keep in mind when you're interacting with people. So in the light of the pandemic and how much all of us are somewhat isolated, some of us are very isolated, some of us have maybe big family units so we don't feel as isolated, but we are definitely living very different lives than we're used to. We're growing used to it, but overall it's still new experiences on a regular basis that we have to navigate. And I think in light of how much interaction we all have online, how much text messaging, social media posting, any of these types of interactions, it's important to remember that misunderstandings are easy to, it's easy for them to arise. So when we're interacting with people and we're voicing an opinion or we're stating something or we're expressing ourselves, we lose all of the little subtle nuances of our facial expressions, our tone in our voice, and just the subtleties that make us human. And when we lose that interaction, that part of our interaction, it's really easy for there to be misunderstandings. So if I have a certain idea about a person because of their belief system or some of maybe previous things that I've seen from them, I might put a tone on their voice that isn't necessarily there. I might assume something about the interaction that isn't necessarily true, especially when it comes to text messaging and emailing and posting online. So it's really important in this day and age that we understand that misunderstandings happen easily, that most of the time I would say most of the time it's an issue where someone has said something, we've lost something in the translation, people take it really personally, and it devolves into really a lack of communication and intense misunderstandings, oftentimes leading to name calling and just feelings of disconnection. And that's really tough. That's a really tough place to be when you're frustrated with that in your own life. It's a really tough place to be when you're misunderstood and attacked, or misunderstood and avoided. No matter what situation you're in, that subtlety of language and that subtlety of all the little nuances that we have in our language when we're communicating with each other in person or over the phone or over video, it gets lost. And those misunderstandings can really derail communication. It can negatively affect your relationships, and it can be really difficult. So I would say in this tough time, just try to stay calm, try to read slowly, try to take your own tone off of things. Understand that someone could, maybe try to even say it in a different way, right? So if you're reading something, read it out loud and try a couple of different tones in your voice. Try to say it in a way that's angry, that upsets you, but then try to say it in a way that might be funny, or say it in a way that might sound just a more calm or compassionate, and see if you're adding something to that communication that potentially isn't there. And if we jump off from that place, it leads to more empathetic communication. So looking back on our conversation last week about empathy, it really is important to look at someone else's words and see if you can find a common ground, see if you can find a tone of voice that doesn't immediately create a divide, immediately create a misunderstanding. And that can be hard to do. So it's important as ever to slow down, really try to remember that not everything is about you, not everything is personal, and a lot of things can be lost in translation. So when it comes to misunderstandings, and especially how those misunderstandings can negatively affect relationships, just try to take some deep breaths, try to calm down, try to step back, and then react, and then have an engagement with that person or those people. So I hope you enjoyed my message today about misunderstanding. I would love to hear any thoughts and experiences that you have with this word or this concept, and I appreciate you showing up today.